I Want to Jump Like Dee Dee, with me, Giles Sibbald, is the music podcast that does music a bit differently. I'm talking to some incredible musicians, DJs and producers about how they use an experimental mindset to fuel their own creativity, pursue new challenges, overcome fears, bounce back from mistakes. Okay, so my guest today is the world's first sustainable music artist and the founder of the Battery Tour, which is a music tour that's powered basically by renewable energy. And he's performed over 800 gigs powered by renewable battery power. 800, maybe a little bit more now. And through this and other fundraising, he's provided clean energy to global communities that don't have reliable access to, kind of stable sources of power. And he's also been named by the UN as one of its 17 young world leaders, one for each of the UN 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So living life by his values and experimenting as he goes along with, as I'm sure you'll see, sort of endless enthusiasm. I'm really, really happy to welcome AY Young to the show. AY, welcome.
Yo, what's cracking? That's I was shocked on the intro. That was good.
So you kind of got this sort of fast-paced world that you're involved in. It seems that kind of news is sort of coming out, all the time. What's the latest with you?
Yeah, man. I mean, and that's because this is grassroots. Like this is legitimate, powered by the people, and no big engine behind me getting out there in front of people. So it's crazy to see. I call this year the boiling water year. We're finally, like, the world is getting plugged into what I've been doing, which is literally empowering people. Yeah, and it's just crazy, right?
It's kind of crazy, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, you're kind of like the. Tell us a little bit about to just to kind of give people a bit of sort of background about the, let's say, for example, like the music climate revolution. What sort of going with that?
The music. Okay, I mean, like, talk about more about what's happening over there with that kind of compact, I guess you could call it, collection of artists and people.
Yeah.
I mean, what's happening, man. I mean, I talk to people all the time. I say, do you remember? I'll ask people. I don't know if you use Instagram, but you remember 3 years ago. I mean, it was 3 years ago. People started girls started posting yoga pictures all the time. Selfie, eating healthy. That stuff. And then all of a sudden, it's like the world. It's like, dude, I've seen people almost get attacked. Because they're using plastic straws. It's becoming cool for an artist to get on stage and be like, yo, sustainability. And then they start rapping about the same crap that, but so it's like there's this new wave, but I'll definitely say that music and culture is switching toward, hey man, eat organic, hey, that's healthy style. And it's causing and creating this shift where now, people are signing on saying, hey, I'm going to be sustainable, right? Let's fight this climate issue.
Yeah.
I think that we need more direction in what exactly that means for you to do, right? I think a lot of people at the end of the day want to make a change, but I hear all the time, well, what do I do? Switching up your straws is one, so I think that's what I'm really happy to bring to the table, is the fact that, to show people what's possible,
If you talk, that sort of that direction, where sort of people are saying, okay, well, what do I need to do? Where does that direction come from to make sure that we've kind of got a, kind of consistent message that's coming out there? Because I'd imagine that perhaps the views are a bit sort of polarized.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. I mean, and the thing about climate is here's the thing, this is why I love my project, right? Project 7. And I really do like the SDGs, which people probably listening are like, well, what are the SDGs? I don't know what that is. I know what climate change. But it's great framework to really break down what we need in totality as humanity. So real, if anyone's listening, there are these 17 things that the UN says that we need to do. Everyone hears about goal 13, which is climate action, right? Oh, take care of the climate change. But there's actually other things like everyone needs food, everyone needs water, clean water.
Yeah.
I was getting people access to energy because there's a billion people who don't freaking electricity. So everyone needs clean, that's goal 7. So, I think there's more to it than just like whatever people think climate action or changes. It's a big piece of the pie. There's, racial inequality. There's all these different, and so, I think what I'm here to do and like my purpose is finding, I think change comes from passion, and I'm here to kind of like find people's passion and help power or plug them into, what they're, into a space that they can take a step forward in.
Yeah. Because I guess, sort of going back to when you were a kid, like music has always been your passion.
Always.
You always sort of been into sort of music. So going back to, sort of the, like your early days, kind of like sort of your parents' influence on, from what I understand, because we met, or we got introduced through Lisa Azami, who you spoke to for Moo magazine, right? And reading that article, which is a fantastic article, and your parents, had big kind of like sort of social equality, kind of mindset and sort of cause, which is obviously fed through to you. How did in terms of sort of equality and compassion, I guess that they were a sort of formative influence on what you're doing now?
Yeah, like first off, I was homeschooled, bro. So boom, already totally different. My parents, school. But what I've learned too, looking back, is that they were definitely the biggest influence on me. And what I actually want to be clear about is, I did love poetry, but actually music didn't come on my plate. I was like 18. I was late, but
okay.
But I think more for me, it was like I watched my parents change my neighborhood block by block. Like we had 5 crack houses. Watched my dad shut them down, mobilize the community. Neighborhood cleanups. I used to be doing cleanups every Friday. Instead of hanging out with a friend or something, I'm picking up trash I never freaking did. But I used to hate that. I hate the change. I used to hate that. But now I look back and realize, wow, it built me. And I tell people all the time that, even thinking about sustainability or making these changes, like some of these corporations might have to pay a little extra money to recycle a certain way or change the way they order food. And it might suck. Like we might have to, carpool instead of drive a really nice car to take the girl out or take a walk instead of we might have to do all these things that, we hate. To a degree, but we're going to look back and realize, wow, we saved the planet, right? And I think about my childhood and think about all the things I watched my parents do, and they changed my neighborhood and my city block by block, and I know that's why I want to change like the world, like country by country. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do, bro.
That must have been, kind of like so. Sort of influential on you, sort of seeing that change, right in your kind of like backyard, that sort of stuff going on.
Literally, down to even like, bro, it's so crazy because like back then, like, first of all, it wasn't cool to homeschool. I was a Boy Scout. Nothing I was doing was dope. Yeah. Cool, like all of a sudden it is now, like we were cooking, like, or not cooking, but growing our own food, all of a sudden now all I hear about is urban farming and this, that.
Yeah.
But that wasn't, 15, 20 years ago, bro. That wasn't popping, bro. That was, it's weird to me, man. Even my career is weird to me because like all of a sudden all these artists, which is still not in their message, I'm a big guy. I'm like, well, can we talk about it in the song too? Do we have to, be sustainable? And then you're like, girls busting, like it's weird how people are. But it's interesting, like I've been doing hundreds and hundreds of shows, powered by obviously renewable energy since 2012, since I got this X Factor TV show. But and just a year ago, I feel like people were just like, that's a sustainable artist. I was like, what? But hey, it's just interesting to me. how things, you know, shift in our world.
How do you you know, how do you find it sort of, because you're obviously now kind of dealing with a lot of kind of institutions, you
Yeah.
know, and kind of corporates, you know, from your own, because I wonder if there's you know, kind of like individually, like individuals' mindsets are kind of one thing, and then there's a kind of corporate mindset that's almost independent, and it's this, because I used to sort of work in corporates, and it's almost like this kind of thing that is sometimes hard to sort of put your finger on. You know, what is this kind of corporate mindset? Kind of getting through that is kind of tough. How do you find this?
I know, man. That's, you know, some of it I don't understand. Like, but then people ask me all kinds of things. Like, people will say, like, how do you connect to people like you do? Or, you know, some say I'm like Prince, or then I'm like, no, I'm not. But then they're like, oh, he's like James Brown or this, or they compare me to this. And sometimes I don't know. I just be me. I'll say this though: the time has arrived. Like, sometimes in life, it's just your time, and it's like there's an X factor thing, or just you know, it's just time, if that makes sense. And so you have this interesting paradigm here, where like, if you're a corporation, you almost have to stand for something. Even like how, you know, when COVID happened, this Black Lives Matter, all lives matter, like the athletes taking a knee or a stand, right? You're picking. And so, you know, and a lot of these companies are doing a couple of things, man. They're shelving out millions of dollars for sustainability, whatever that means, right? And then like diversity and inclusion, you know, and this whole, hey, if you're an African American, if you're, you know, a minority, we're here for you, you know, we're here to serve you guys. And so here's this weird time where out of nowhere, this like young Black dude, you know what I'm saying, that like, you know, does sustainable concerts and has this whole like what they call corporate social responsibility angle, because he's also helping people and hitting your initiative. But the key factor that sells everything is influence, whether it's social media influence, music, culture. That's what people hire your Patrick Mahomes or your Shaquille O'Neal to be like, hey, I love this product, you know? So it's all that, you know, rolled into one thing, which is Project 17, you know, working with the biggest artists, you know? And so I'm just hitting all the boxes. And so whether it's T-Mobile, you know, who are, you know, getting back on the phone with tomorrow, or Coca-Cola, you know, it's like they got all this marketing money, but they got all this money to, oh, well, we got to do good with this money. This money's our sustainability money. And then it's like, oh, well, here's our corporate social responsibility money that we have to get rid of because of taxes. You know, it's like they just have all this gold that they have to, and then, well, we hire diversity and inclusion because we care about, you know, minorities. I mean, that's what we're here, you know, and it's just, I'm walking in the door and like, oh, hello, guys. Well, let's work together to change the world. It's crazy, man.
I mean, what I appreciate, might be sort of difficult to say, but I mean, what it, you know, generally I mean, so the stuff that gets sort of put out in the media is that, you know, change is slow, right? That, you know, it's kind of like glacial sort of.
Slow it is, bro. It shouldn't take this long. I mean, there's some corporates I've been talking to for 6 months. It's like we still have yet to take that final step. Like, it shouldn't take this long.
What do you think? Like from their point of view, what do you think is the problem in taking that final step, or does it are you trying to work that out?
Right. I mean, corporates have a lot of channels. I mean, I'm learning so much. First of all, with the project that I have, you know, notice I named like marketing, then I named CSR, then I named, and here's one thing that I'm trying to do, and I think that change can only come from, I'm trying to get married, right? There's like a difference from dating. Like most artists or shows or concerts, they date, right? Sprite. We're gonna take thanks for the check. We're gonna put that right, put your branding right here, and we're done. And that's it. No conversation, real write-off, it's over. this project is really interesting. We're making music. I'm trying to bring together the biggest artists in the world to plug into the goal that they care about. So it's like, let's get Justin Bieber and Demi Lovato, who care about mental health, on goal 3. But that has to be financed by the corporation. That's step 1, because then you have the tour. Then after the tour, it's like we're also doing the education. We're in the schools, and we're helping achieve your baseline. So if you're Coca-Cola and you want to get people access to water, the water record that we're making is going to raise money to empower partners to get people water.
Yeah.
We're hitting your baselines through you financing us to do the music, but there's a longer relationship there. This isn't just marketing hand a check. This is like, how can we co-create the world we want to live in? That's what we're missing in life. It's like, in order to do these things, guys, we have to come together, and it has to be co-creation. It can't just be like, oh, well, we like this project, so we'll approve that. It's just so hands off. And so it's just been really difficult because it is slow, and they operate in quarters, and the idea of something company-wide, you also understand the companies I'm talking to, from your Coca-Cola to your Google to your freaking Cisco, these are massive billion-dollar companies. With I think T-Mobile has 109,000 or 300 and something thousand employees. Many approval levels that so like and then I have to say that then I'm coming out of nowhere. I even remember someone from one of these companies I won't name. They looked at my resume, because the project is crazy, right? And I already have goal 1 and 2 done, like with #1 independent artist in the world, Tech 9. Goal 1 is done. We want to add Katy Perry. We already have the Head and the Heart on 17th. I want to add Paul McCartney. So it's not like this project is an idea or aspiration. You know what I'm saying? But I remember some corporate said that someone at the boardroom looked at my followers and was like, well, he doesn't have a lot of followers. What the heck? Jesus Christ. I mean, like, apparently, if you don't have followers, you can't change the world. I mean, gosh dang. But here, I just got off the inauguration. I'm literally on the phone with Stevie Wonder's people. I'm a young leader of the world, like literally connected to all the global ambassadors, already got the #1 independent artist on, already working with Billie Eilish and her team, meeting Coldplay, doing an opening for Guns. I'm doing all this stuff. And some guy at the boardroom goes, well, he doesn't have a lot of followers. How is this possible? What?
It's quite incredible. It's incredible that view sort of still kind of persists, doesn't it?
Apparently you can do anything without followers, right? Because they're nothing without a whole bunch of them, whatever that means. Because what is a lot? I mean, it's 26,000 a lot, which is what I have, or is it? Do I have to have 1 million? I obviously don't have to have 1 million to work with Tech 9,
Billie Eilish, for example,
so it's just man, we just don't even know how to work together, but hopefully I can be an example to say that it doesn't matter your age or your shoe size. It doesn't matter if you're the corporation with $1 billion, or if you're the mom and pop, or if you're a kid in a school. Everyone is an outlet for change. We all can take an action, to power and support real change. And that's what I'm proving and doing every day, bro.
I wonder if there's kind of like an angle with and you may have sort of explored this, but with employees, because the staff, kind of staff, I know, I mean, this is a generalization, but generally kind of like staff are much more kind of like engaged with their kind of like their own, kind of personal sort of social views as to what is in their own values as to what's important. And if they see their employer, kind of like not aligning with their values, then there's a lot more tension that exists now. And I wonder if kind of like employee activism is going to be, a strong influence on, making, because the company's biggest asset is its staff, and if
totally
staff start to kind of like get disgruntled with that attitude that you see in the boardroom, then something has to give, maybe.
I mean, there's a term someone gave me called, like, I think it was called intrapreneur.
Intrapreneurs, Oh, you know
Yeah,
the League of Entrepreneurs, don't you, Maggie? Maggie
I
DePree.
do.
Yeah, I
I
used to
know.
be a member. I was a member of that. Like, yeah.
See, bro, you already know, so
I
you're
know.
on that of
Yeah.
like, got yeah. I totally agree with you on that for sure. And I mean, and here's the thing: it's like it's sustainability still it's very new. Like I'm actually shocked. I would tell people that where we're at today wasn't going to happen for another about year or two last year, and
Yeah.
then the pandemic happened, and something along in the sustainability world just like escalated. I think it was when the food markets were crashing, people did more local stuff. Something excelled it further. It even made me scared because I was like, you know, one weird the thing about me is like I've been doing this for since 2012. You know, at any point in time, some big name artists with a lot more followers can hop on a trend, right? That doesn't, but yeah.
And
Um,
I think I'd be interested in your kind of take on both, your own resilience for kind of dealing with this progress, or kind of slow progress, because I know that, like, when I worked in the corporate, when I was an intrapreneur, trying to get the company to change when you're doing your kind of day job, and then you're doing your entrepreneurial work and you're trying to do your day job in a kind of like responsible way, it's kind of tough because it's almost like you're kind of paddling against the tide,
yeah.
sometimes, and it's tough, and it can often be lonely as well. How do you feel? How do you deal with your own resilience?
Yeah, man. I mean, I just keep trying to take a step every day. I mean, it's a constant battle. I've been going through. I feel like I've been down a lot recently.
Mm,
Yeah. I would say complain, but also just a little anger and frustration with what I have and yet where I'm at. You
mm,
know, I mean, yeah, okay, the UN young leader right now, got about a year and a few months left on the designation, year and a half. Yeah, I've done a lot on the project, but it's nowhere near where it should be, in my opinion.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
a lot of this world claims they want sustainability, they claim they want this or that. It's like I created a project where we're bringing together the biggest artists, influencers, whatever in the world into the goal they care about, right? So
yeah,
that, for instance, maybe you have which is one idea we're working on, Lady Gaga, Lil Nas X, and Dolly Parton on the gender equality record.
yeah,
But the corporate finances the ability for us to make the record, clear the record, and then what's really cool about this impact engine I've created is nonprofits, charities, for profits that do the work in that space, in that gender equality space, in that clean water space, whatever goal it is.
yeah,
The music empowers them to do it.
mm,
So what we're telling a corporate is a check makes actual impact, because we also measure it with the G17 platform. We
yeah,
have this whole ESG thing. And so
yeah,
you would think it'd be really easy to just pull that off.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
but it's not. But you'll read an article and it goes, oh well, we're this corporation and we care about sustainable buildings, or cities. It's like, well, if so, uh what better, and then they want to reach the youth. Then you got me here who's like the young leader representing the youth of the United States of America.
yeah,
you know
yeah.
it's sometimes I'm baffled with the lack thereof of fast progress.
Well, this is it. That's a really good point, because going back to the guy that's sort of worried about how many followers you've got. What you're doing and saying, your kind of like mindset, your values, you kind of representative of a generation. It's not. I don't mean this in a bad way. It's not just you, but you are talking for a lot of people of your age.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, and the beautiful thing about it is like I'm also allowing everyone of my age and this generation to talk for themselves.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, we could get into the weeds of like the whole Project 17, and people are listening like, this dude's talking about 17. What is he talking about? SDGs? No one really knows, maybe, or they do, but get plugged into the battery to it if you're listening and it'll make sense. But I'll say this, even within the 17 project, one of the things I'm proud about the most is the poetry version, right? Because we have different versions of the album. Like, Justin Bieber has an album and he puts out an acoustic version, right?
mm,
Same at 17, and the poetry version is so dope because if you're Barack Obama, if you're, Paul Hawken just sent his in, who wrote a book called Project Drawdown, Damon from a film called 2040. We're talking Gemma Stiles about sending in her, 30-second minute. Forrest Whitaker just got hit finally, SDG advocate, great actor. He's right. So we have this poetry album where if you're an activist, if you're Greta Thunberg, if you're David Attenborough, if you're a TikTok influencer or a YouTuber with 100 million followers, you can in 30 seconds, a minute about your favorite goal. I'm waiting to hear Obama be like, look, Project 17 is a heck of a project. Gender equality is necessary for everybody. I'm waiting, and that 30 seconds or whatever is minute, paragraph, is being compiled with all the other influencers, artists, that sent that in, that aren't a part of the music part. Yeah. And that is connecting, their voice, their people, those that, to the broader project. It's cool because I'm hearing the voices of everyone. Like, it's cool to hear what Paul Hawken has to say, who's like a 70-year-old, environmental leader of the world, creating Project Drawdown, versus what this 14-year-old girl who does plastic in Wyoming, it's just incredible to see everyone begin to come together, even though it's not at the level it needs to be at, because I don't have the platform that I need to have and or the finances to purchase it. Because Eureka, guys, it's all about that in this world of media. It's still things to come, but you can probably tell that no matter what small step happens, I'm still just like, it's not there yet. That would be me, man.
But sometimes the small steps are the ones that are difficult to see because they are sort of small, but they come together. They add together. It's hard to see it because those sort of steps are small, but when you put them together, but that's the difficult thing in sort of understanding how those small pieces are kind of building this sort of snowball. But I don't know. I mean, it sometimes feels like a, especially for kind of corporates, like I say, I struggle. I remember back quite a few years ago, Mark Carney, who was the Bank of England governor at the time, he was talking about climate change, and he called it the tragedy of the horizon. You're probably familiar with that quote, and it's about kind of people's behaviors, that they can't see that far ahead. Their brain kind of can't compute it, so it doesn't register in kind of importance. And you see things time after time. It has to be here before people take action, like right in front of the face before they kind of take action. I wonder if it's a behavioral thing, but
I mean, it's mad crazy, bro.
I think I love what you're doing with the poetry, though. I think that's incredible. I mean, poetry as well is really kind of, striking a chord with a lot of people. I think that poetry sales have gone through the roof in sort of under 35s.
Right. So, or, look at Gorman, you look at podcasts, and from that idea, I made this list of like top 70 environmentalists, and I saw David Attenborough and all these people on there at the top. And that's when I realized that I'm telling everyone to be an outlet for change and, do two things: take an action, whatever that is, whether it's turning off the lights, or if you're a corporation, your action is, I don't know, powering your stores with renewable energy 2%, Walmart or something. Who knows, whatever. I'm just throwing something out as an example. But, and then tour, and I was like, oh shoot, well, if you're Leonardo DiCaprio, who's a messenger of peace at the UN, kind of my building, he's already taken an action, and he's empowered the tour. What's he gonna do? Share my story? Yeah, that's great, but that's not, and that's when I was like, oh well, shoot, he can't rap with Billie Eilish and sing with Coldplay on the project, but he can send a cell phone recording. And I mean, this is why I'm creating a project that everyone in the world can plug into. Like there's a story I tell all the time, and this is what I think change needs to be sliced up a little bit. At least maybe I'll bring that to the table, because it's just so broad right now. People don't understand. But I was talking to this dude in the country, because I live in Kansas City, Missouri, so I was in Kansas, which is a difference, but whatever, And this guy was like, I don't care about them gays. Like he really just didn't, he's the red kind of, that kind of conservative thinking there. Or, but he cared about his animals and I care about my farm, da, da, da. And then, so I was like, oh man, well, I did the inauguration, I met Garth Brooks, I'm thinking about he'd be the one, to do the Go 15 with me. And he was like, oh, I love Garth Brooks. I go to every concert back to back. He'll do 2 in 1 night. He was just so happy. And he was like, and that's when I took a step back and I really said, wow, because you're going to go, with this project specifically, you're going to skip, I guess he might skip, but, there's going to be that song about gender equality with like a Lady Gaga, and then the next song is like about life on land, right? And I think change can be subtle. I think maybe we can change people's thinking just a little bit, and that's going to change the world.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I think you're right. I mean, people don't kind of react generally to big immediate change. A lot of people, you're talking about the guy there. He sounds, and this is an assumption, but the sort of guy that would struggle with a big change coming along. Incremental change, okay, you can kind of work with that. Small change, because they're less noticeable, less immediate kind of impact on yourself, on your own life, but gradually. But that takes time, right?
It takes time, and it takes an example. See, now we get this guy who loves me, man, like super cool, and obviously has hate for other kinds of people. But maybe at the end of it goes, well, hey, why? He's a good guy. I mean, he's just trying to bring people together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just a little bit may make him look at that human more as a human. Like, maybe they're just like that because they want to be, or whatever the small change.
So are you saying there that the power of a human connection, of kind of connecting with that guy, can be really important?
100%.
Yeah.
But we're missing.
I totally agree.
I mean, that's what all these movements are even accidentally doing is I mean, even how you said polarized, it made me think of politics, which I don't necessarily love, but there was a day in politics. I did see an Obama interview recently. There's some things I agreed with, because there was a day where it didn't seem like because you were on one side or the other, that there was still that, like, we can still break bread, eat, and agree on something. And something happened along the line where it's like, if you breathe, you're one side or you're the other side, it's like you're the devil almost. Like, it's like you're not a human anymore. It's not a possibility that you may have other views within that space that may be aligned. It's almost, we forget that we are all human and we're connected. And something, we need to bring that back before it's too late.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that, that's like, once you start to sort of build that sort of personal, rapport with somebody, and start to, which to my mind sort of comes into one of the things I was interested in talking to you about, which is emotional intelligence, and being able to kind of empathize with somebody else. Somebody else's kind of, their views, their lifestyle, what they're going through. Being able, I personally think that's something that we've started to lose. Kind of, being able to, kind of see things from somebody else's point of view. The immediate sort of reaction tends to be, well, what they say is bullshit. I don't agree with it, and almost sort of discount it. But it's kind of like the starting place for these sort of things, where you're wanting to kind of like build those kind of relationships and talk about change.
Yeah, it's almost like, well, there's some people that are really good at it. And maybe you've experienced a lot of different people, and you start realizing things like, oh, well, shoot, doesn't matter how much money that guy has or how much I don't have. When he wakes up, he's going to put his jeans on like one leg at a time.
Yeah.
Right. Start realizing things like, oh, well, he may think that way because he was raised in a town of 10 people who had this one belief, versus this guy was raised in this area and had 20 different experiences, or this person was overseas, walked 4 miles to get water. So now they truly, truly value just being able to go down the street in America and get water from a McDonald's, whether it's 25 cents or it's free. You start realizing where you grew up, what you were taught, all those things influence, and I think a lot of people that get those perspectives can come at people differently, like, because sometimes head-on approach, it's not always the right way. I'm just trying to, it's tough. People are tough though. This world is interesting. Everyone has a viewpoint now. Social media has made it where everyone's their own influencer and everyone's idea and thought matters. This is a weird world we're in right now. You almost can't be down. I'm a very down the middle, like both sides guy. And I'm like, a couple of times I've looked around and said, man, I'm not sure how I could, it's interesting.
I agree with you totally. I think it's really difficult. I think it's especially difficult, generally we seem a bit less open-minded, to kind of new ideas, and that's exactly what you have to be. I'd say from where I'm sort of sitting, that your kind of creativity, and ability to have an open mind and to see things and to find, the opportunities, the potential sort of solutions for people who are perhaps the opposite of you.
Yeah, no, totally. I can, sometimes I think I'm still too far ahead of my time though.
Yeah.
And I worry because I'm like, man, I have finite youth and finite time. And every day I'm taking a step forward, but I'm like, where is the world to take a step with me? Sometimes I feel like I'm just taking steps alone. Like it's man. But I mean, I haven't lost faith. I mean, you look at the headlines, you read stuff, it looks wonderful, right? Everything's moving forward, but not fast enough.
Yeah.
It's just not, man. Like, I mean, 6, 7, 8 months of back and forth with, I can't tell you how many corporations, all in love with the project. It's like, when the first real step happens, it's still, I'm still like, okay.
Yeah.
Right. Everything is a process. This life is interesting. I'll say this though, man, I definitely have gave my life to helping people and bringing people together. So I guess we'll see what I can do in this next 6 months, man. I'll see what we can do. It's really about the people listening, like what has gotten me here is like some guy's listening, calls his wife, works at this company, or now I'm doing a performance for this person. I'm meeting this, I just got connected to the Captain Planet people through this guy or this person. It's really just been like people plugging in, man. And
your kind of network of contacts, people who you're kind of speaking to must be immense. How have you? I mean, obviously it's been important. That's that's a kind of given. But how do you use your network?
Sometimes I look and say, man, maybe I'm just not using it right. Like, maybe somebody might, I do understand the concept of ask and you will receive. And sometimes I don't ask, don't ask certain things. Sometimes I don't know what to ask. It's tough. It's like, okay, yeah, I got this guy's number. I mean, I'm friends with this person. I know these people or this, but I always do something when it feels right. If it doesn't feel right, I don't do it.
Yeah.
A lot of the people in my, I have a big Rolodex now. Obviously, I'm blessed, man. But like, I'll say that when something feels right and I know it, then I know it. Like, you get like my phone call with Nahir Master, the UN communications director, right? 2 days ago. That was a very clear, like, okay, the project's been going. This is where it's at. This is support that, you know, you guys told us you would give us, right? And not only do I need it now, but it needs to happen immediately.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
Things move fast, and he moves so quick. And now we're even on like bi-weekly meetings. And I'm so thankful to have him really moving the UN behind this project, which hadn't really, you know, moved like it is now, you know? So yeah, you know, like it hit me.
It's an interesting one. I mean, I remember that there was there's a lady in the UK called Zella King, and she has this kind of business. It's called the Personal Boardroom, and it's what she was doing. She was going into corporates to help, you know, staff to navigate or better use their network. So that, you know, the kind of the premise is that, you know, quite often we have big networks that we don't use, or perhaps we don't use them properly. So the idea was basically to break the network down into people that you need as door openers, people that you need as challengers, so the people that are going to challenge you in what you're doing, people who and I think about kind of 12 kind of
nice
attributes. It was a really good way, really kind of neat way of just being able to you know, because if you've got, you know, I don't know, let's say on LinkedIn you've got sort of 5,000-10,000 people. I mean, how many do you interact with? And who if you're sat there and you're thinking, right, I'm really at a low here, I'm really at a low, or what I just need is just somebody to unlock the door, knowing who to go to sort of pull out of your mind to kind of go to them. Or even, you know, in a different industry, the industry that maybe
I could definitely use help with that. I mean, my life too, it's like, you know, like what is probably the most underknown thing about what I'm doing is not only did I help, you know, put together the technology, I'm making the music, I'm the entertainer. Most people do, like Jay-Z, you know, became Jay-Z, then does a nonprofit or a charitable thing. Like I'm doing it at this, that AY is becoming AY at the same time of Battery to a Project 17 changing the world. It's never been before, and it's been requiring 7 a.m. to 2 a.m., 3 a.m. every day. And I mean, yeah, so I mean, it's one of those things where I'm just, dude, I don't know, man. I feel like when my story breaks, people will understand, you know, this guy who did 10-hour shows every day for 8 years. You know, you talk about taking a step. Think about taking a step like in 2015, another 200 shows or 150 shows, each of them about 8 to 10 hours, carrying 100-pound batteries, you know, and then waking up and doing it again for another 365 days.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Man, I think of my body, I'm like, man, dude, I really killed my body for this. But I mean, I'm finally here, almost there. You know, I'm like, dang, sacrificed my life. You know, and people were hanging out with their girlfriend or getting a new girlfriend or playing video games or having fun. You know, I'm not saying I wasn't having fun, but also I was doing this. You know, I believe in 10,000 hours. People will ask all, how'd you do this, man? You opened up for Wiz Khalifa. How's that possible? It's like, you know, I put a lot of time into this, and you know how that is, man.
Yeah. And you're like you say, I mean, I think that is the really kind of unique and thing that you're doing is you're doing it within the music industry as a musician. And you're doing that. You're doing it, like you say. You know, other artists maybe sort of do what they do and then go off and set up a foundation or a charity or an impact hub or whatever. You're doing it kind of like right now. You're actually living it and doing
crazy in the music industry, without the music industry, at the same time of now. You know, talking to the actual people who run the industry. It's weird. I mean, it's so weird. Like I got a call from Dave who does Bottle Rock Festival. I think it's Bottle Rock Festival, Napa Valley. And you know, I just got booked to do next year. I wish I was doing this year, but yeah, I'll be there. You know, hopefully I meet Guns N' Roses and Miley Cyrus. But it's incredible how like for 10 years, I've been on the street corner, not stages. And then I get a call from the guy who, you know, and hey, we want you to play with the biggest artist in the world, right? Because this guy named Dan from Sprint who used to own Sprint or work for Sprint, connected, was an outlet, you know, big ups to him. But it's just interesting how still no management, no booking agent, no one on the phone, getting AY here or there, moving it forward. And imagine when that does happen. Like, imagine when there's some guy from the CAA or this agent that says, hey, I'm gonna take on this project, which I feel that will happen soon, because I think it is about time now that I started getting some better liaison work, if that makes sense. Grassroots has been great. I still look back, I'm still looking like, wow, how am I doing this with no like,
how many in your team?
I mean, I have volunteers here and there.
Yeah.
You know, like I would say that this guy Nico, like my right hand, is like probably the best volunteer we have right now as far as time. Dude's spend like 6 hours a day on this project.
Yeah.
I have maybe like 18 volunteers in different areas doing different things.
Yeah.
Times. You know, like a volunteer might spend 30 minutes in a week, and that 30 minutes is doing one small thing, right? But I'm blessed to have like Nico, who's like here, and then more and more people are plugging in, and the doors open for people to plug in as we're in this specific like phase.
Wow, that's quite incredible. So what's next then?
Yeah, man. I mean, I call this the boiling water year. Just last week, the Boy Scouts announced me as the first ever influencer in the history of scouting. That's a big deal. Yeah. I hear Verizon Wireless is going to release our story like in a week. That might change everything. Just release our story. You know, the next step is really just, you know, again, finding the right impact partners, you know, charities, nonprofits, even for-profits that do work in that goal space, and plugging them in as that. But more importantly, I think right now, my main thing is you know, we're still really focused on solidifying the right corporate, you know, sponsor, whether it's at a goal level or at the project level. If they want to be involved in all the parts. And I think that, you know, once we get past this stage and can really go public with the first official one, and there's things happening. There's things I can't talk about.
No, I'm sure. Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's really gonna go, man. I mean, I think that, you know, I can't wait to be on like and meet maybe like an Ellen, a Gayle King. I'm really hoping on the Jimmy Kimmels and things like that, and really just the same conversation of saying, you know, not just Jimmy Kimmel or Conan, but to the audience, you know, what do you care about? What goal do you plug into? If you're a freaking Instagrammer with 50 million followers, we need you to plug in the Project 17 now. And so that's the mission that I'm on, is whether you're the president, whether you're you know, a state senator, whether you're a YouTuber, a TikToker, or an artist, and you care one of those 17 goals, plug in. And we'll see how big we build this project for the next 6 months, right?
Wow, amazing. Well, AY, thank you so much for coming on. It's been phenomenal listening to you, and I mean, I think what you're doing is incredible, and your resilience is just amazing. I think I mean, it's an incredible project. It's exciting, but it's incredibly difficult as well, because you, like we talked about, you're dealing with kind of like institutional, you know, kind of mindsets. It's incredibly difficult, but I think, you know, the opportunity that you have is incredible. I think hopefully finding little sort of chinks, like sort of Verizon, for example, you get that kind of media coming out, you know, who knows? Yeah,
right. It's just another one of those fires that go and don't go out. You know, it's just a lot of fires. Just Boy Scouts was a fire. You know, just fires are cut. And as soon as we're gonna build that bonfire. So I mean, I'm so thankful. Thanks for having me on, man. I can't wait to share this beautiful conversation. We should have another round 2 at some point.
Absolutely,
So where everything's at, man.
Definitely. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, it's such a huge kind of topic, and such a huge project that you're doing. I mean, there's no way that we can kind of compact it into an hour.
No.
It's been interesting, really interesting, sort of getting more into your mindset and kind of what's motivating you. That's been really fascinating as well. But for sure. Anyway, stay on the line anyway, for a second. But
Yes, sir.
thanks so much. I know you're incredibly busy, and best of luck for the future.
Thank you.
Okay, man.
Thanks for listening to the show, and I really hope that you enjoyed it and that you'll tune in for the next episode. In the meantime, it would be really awesome if you could rate and review the show, and also share it with any friends who you think might enjoy it.